is that noise? Unbelievable. Let's take a peek. Oh, my splash shield's hanging down. Perfect. Really quick, let's talk about what a splash shield is supposed to do. Essentially, what it's going to do is it's going to cover the bottom aspect of the engine compartment, and what it's supposed to do is prevent water or even debris from making its way up and inside of the engine compartment. Of course, there's a lot of electronic things that can happen inside of here, and if anything gets wet that isn't necessarily supposed to, it can cause an issue. Underneath most car hoods, you're going to be able to find the battery. Now, the battery isn't necessarily something that you have to worry about getting wet, unless, of course, it has the vents up along the top and for some reason somebody left the caps off. If that was the case, moisture can make its way in there, and of course, the battery's going to go bad over time. Other than that, you're typically going to have a lot of electrical components all inside here. This one in particular has its computer or PCM right out in the open. Now that, of course, is going to have some electrical wiring going right to it, and if moisture made its way inside there, you can imagine what might happen if the car's computer went bad. Other than that, a lot of times there's going to be a fuse box located underneath the hood on most passenger cars. You can go ahead and take off that cover right there, and you should be able to find some fuses. You can imagine what water does to circuitry. Of course, it's going to cause corrosion. Corrosion creates resistance, and resistance is going to cause an issue with your electrical system. And of course, you want to think about the aerodynamics of the car itself, the way that the wind's going to be able to go up and over, and of course, underneath the car. If there's anything on the top or underneath it that's restricting the flow of air, that's of course going to decrease fuel economy overall. So now we safely raised and supported the car so I can get under it and we can have a look at what's going on. Right under here is where that splash shield's supposed to be, and as you can tell, ours in particular, well, maybe somebody didn't bolt it on right here. It started hanging down a little bit, got caught, and it ended up breaking. Now obviously this is a plastic splash shield right here. Commonly, especially on four-wheel drive, pickup trucks or something the like, you're going to have a metal skid plate under here. Why is it metal as opposed to plastic like this one right here? Well, of course, if you're in a four-wheel drive truck, you might be kind of going a little bit off-roading, you might bonk it off of a rock or something, and of course that metal shield is supposed to protect everything underneath here. On this particular passenger vehicle, for some reason, they didn't really think you were going to be bonking off of rocks or anything like that. They were kind of just making sure that you don't splash a whole bunch of debris up and inside the engine compartment. And of course, like I said before, they were also thinking about the aerodynamics of the thing. They were putting it inside their special wind tunnel, making sure that wind went under and over it the way that it should for optimal fuel efficiency. Now, since we're under here, we might as well talk about fixes for this. Of course, you could potentially call up a parts dealer of some sort and see if they have a replacement splash shield for you. Typically, it's more than likely going to cost you a couple $100 or maybe a little less if you're getting one used someplace. For me personally, something like this isn't really necessarily something that I'm very worried about, so what I'm going to do is just completely take it down and then I'll show you how to fix it up right quick. Obviously, trying to fix something like this, there's going to be multiple ways you can go about doing it. For me personally, I'm just going to use a drill with a small drill bit and some of these wire ties right here. You could also try to use some plastic glue of some sort, or maybe even some tape if you just happen to have tape laying around. Now, as you can tell, for our particular application here, it's not necessarily broken so that there's a giant hole in it anywhere. If it was broken to the point that it had a giant hole and it wasn't something that I could patch up, then I would have to just go ahead and replace it. For me personally, I just kind of want to stitch up this crack right here, and then we should be good to go. With all of our holes drilled out, let's go ahead and turn this over. This is going to be the side facing towards the engine compartment. Now essentially I just want to line up all these holes. We're going to put our wire ties through, start them all in, and then we'll snug them up. Okay, we have them all started. Make sure you line your two pieces up so they're as close as possible, and then of course we'll snug it up. Obviously we're not going to leave these just hanging out like this. Let's go ahead and trim off the excess. Now let's turn it over and have a look. Okay, this looks great. Obviously, for your particular application, you might want to add a couple more or maybe even a couple less. It really depends on how big your crack is and exactly how much work you actually want to put into it. For me personally, I can shake this all around and it's not falling apart. If you ask me, it's going to block the majority of the water or even debris from making its way inside the engine compartment. I think we're A-okay. Let's get it up in the car. Okay friends, so we got the splash shield back up here, and if you ask me, from under here it looks pretty amazing. If I was standing up there and I happened to take a peek under here, I probably wouldn't even know that it was broken in the first place, and I especially wouldn't know that I went ahead and fixed it with some easy peasy wire ties. I hope you liked the video. I hope you learned a little something. If it helped you out and you want to talk about it, leave it in the comments section below because I always love to hear from you. If you liked the video, like I said, go ahead and smash on the like button for me. It would mean the world. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell. That way there you can be kept up with all of our latest content. Thanks.